former BYU football defensive back standout on a team that finished ranked 12th in that final AP poll in 2009. Brian, good to have you back on the show, brother. Okay, yeah, now we're rolling. Now we're going.
Jokes from 1999.
Brian, we've been talking about the importance of BYU football and what is most important for the Cougars in any individual season. Where do you place your number one ranking on that list of important things?
I gotta say W's, man. But I mean, obviously, it's kind of like a duh, though. But I would say right now, with BYU being independent, I would say it's relevancy. I mean, there's a huge umbrella, that term comes with. So obviously wins, but when you look at relevancy, it's staying, in the media, win or loss. I think when Tanner took over the offense a couple years back, the Hail Mary passes, right? So, excitement, top 10 plays. So yeah, I mean, at the very end of the day, definitely it's got to be wins. But if you could stay relevant through hard times or even through good times, right? Relevancy's got to be, I would say, the number one thing.
Yeah, if you don't win, you're just not relevant. And if you're ranked, you are definitely relevant. So that's one of the keys for BYU football for sure. The reason we even brought that up is because this week we've been talking about independence, big picture. Is it working? What's next? All this conversation. But sometimes, Brian, it seems like when BYU schedules a big team, that the fan base celebrates the schedule BYU has more than how they fare against the schedule. Fair or unfair?
Yeah, I would say so. Cause I'm right there. I'm right there with them, man. I mean, I'm a fan now, right? And I get to me as a fan, I get more excited about seeing who they're going to play. All the different Power 5 schools. The locations, all that good stuff. And I don't really think about the past couple of years, like, oh dang, we got smacked against that team. We didn't do good against that team. That kind of just goes out the window. So I would say that's fair, man.
But shouldn't the result of the game matter more than just setting up the game? Like, how your date went should matter more than that the date was set up in the first place, right?
See, man, that's a bad analogy. Only because
the perfect analogy.
If I say I had a date with Beyonce, but even though it went bad,
Jay-Z's coming after you, Brian. I'm sorry.
I still had that date.
You
with
still
Beyonce.
had a date with Beyonce.
I still had that date, though.
That is true.
That
is true.
But that comes from a pathetic place. That's like BYU scheduled Alabama. Who cares what happened? They scheduled Alabama. Losers speak this way.
Jerem, I would agree with you, man. I just say that's a bad analogy.
You just wanted a date with Beyonce before you got married.
Don't use that dating analogy anymore. But I think
why? Because
right,
it worked.
No, did not work because I still had a date with Beyonce. So I would say this though. I mean, you look at who we played, right? When I was playing and who we scheduled. Think about the years back. All the teams that were Power 5 or like special. I would say except for Florida State, we still talk about Florida State, and I still have nightmares about it. But that's I feel like the only loss that we still talk about, right? As far as like the big hype surrounding a branded school, a P5 school.
TCO 09 game day was here. That's one too.
Oh yeah, that's another one. That's another bad nightmare.
Oh yeah, come on, man.
I got over that one though. I'm still trying to get over Florida State. But anywho, even the wins though, right? We still go back and we say, look at these wins. No matter if that school was down, if we knocked out the Heisman quarterback, it doesn't really matter. We still talk about that. So I think you're right, man. You got to look at the results of who you're playing, right? Of that schedule.
I think we ignore the present if we don't like it. So then you look ahead because you want to cope with what's happening to you. So if BYU wins those games, they're celebrated. If they lose, they're quickly forgotten in the pursuit of
opportunity ahead.
What could be positive, and I think that's natural.
BYU has, for a long time, and this is largely because of what Bronco Mendenhall established, circled that 10 wins a season pillar, right? So for BYU in independence, because the schedules are tougher, getting to 10 wins naturally becomes a more difficult process. We asked yesterday on the show, would you rather schedule more like BYU football's current model, tougher in independence, which generally means more exciting games but less wins?
8.5 to be exact.
Or take on Boise State's model, where it's easier and you have easier access to the New Year's Six, typically win 10 games and get ranked, but the schedule's not as exciting. What would you do and why?
I love the Boise model, man. I think I was preaching that the first couple of years of independence, but as we moved on and we've kind of matured, and we're starting to see some of the fruits from being independent in these tougher schedules. I got to go with the tougher schedules, man, and it's not because of the excitement. It really has to do with the base and the foundation of every single college program out there, and it starts with recruiting. And you don't get guys like Fred Warner and Troy Warner that have offers from Oregon and SC and all these big name schools without that schedule. I mean, think about that, right? There's no way in the world you're going to get kids that are going to come to BYU. I don't care if they're LDS or non-LDS. I'm really speaking to more of the LDS kids right now because those kids still go off to the Alabamas and these other big schools. But this is an opportunity to capture those kids. And the issue, quite frankly, which we all know, is the honor code, right? It's different when you come here. And so, kids grow up, you want to go to college, you see all the stuff on movies, you hear all the stories, and it's like, I want that experience. And right off the bat, they think, I'm not going to get that experience here at BYU. But I do know if I do come to BYU with this honor code in place, it's going to help me to become a better football player, a better athlete, student, husband, father, etc. And so, yeah, I can deal with that stuff if I can, if I have a legit schedule. If I'm going to be on TV every week where I could, all three of my girlfriends, one of my girlfriends, if my girlfriends can see me, right? If cousins can see me, I had to catch myself.
When Beyonce can see you.
Uncles. Exactly. Beyonce, she's still going to be with Jay-Z, but she's still going to see me, and she's going to remember that date. But that's the real reason right there. And I've said this multiple times, but it keeps on going, right? Where, David Nixon would come back and say, man, you guys got way more talent. I came back and was like, man, you guys got way more talent. Kyle and Ziggy are coming back now and saying, man, they got way more talent than us. And it's because of the recruiting. Obviously, a lot has to do with the coaches, right? But that schedule, man, is so appealing. I don't want to go and play at USC and play all these Pac-12 schools when I can play multiple, P5 schools in different conferences.
And certainly that factors into why fans celebrate the schedule, because the
schedule's great, don't get me wrong.
Brings in recruits, and it's exciting.
How you fare should matter more. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Wins are the most important thing, for sure.
I would say this, though. What is the end goal of every single program? I don't care if it's Utah State, right? It's not realistic. National championship. And different programs.
Well, win every game.
Yeah, make it to a bowl game. No, I'm sorry. But look, every single program out there in America, I don't care what anybody says, if the coach and the AD doesn't have this goal of winning a national championship, they should not be in that position at all. Now, you may not state that goal based off of the maturity of and where your program is at, right? You take it in stages and strides. But with the end goal in mind, it's not being in a New Year's Six, bowl at all. It's winning a national championship. And so what are the things that you have to do right now to get to a national championship? And it's the first and foremost is get better recruits to compete with teams that are playing at the national championship level. That's just bottom line.
Absolutely.
And so how can I do that? Right? How can I find a way to compete with those schools on the recruiting level when I have literally, two hands tied behind my back, one, I got a broken ankle and, I got a blindfold over my eyes. It's gotta be the schedule, man. That's the most appealing thing that you can do. Additionally with some other stuff on campus, in locker rooms, et cetera. But at the end of the day, man, that's what helps you out the most.
When you've upgraded your schedule, a la upgrading from a Honda to a Mercedes, you don't want to go back to the Honda, Brian, do you? You want to stay with the exciting stuff.
That's funny because I had a Honda and I have a Mercedes now. I'm not going back. Not going back.
Brian, thanks for the time, man. Great to talk to you.
No problem, guys.